I'd like to invite you to meet the candidates that are running for Mendocino County Supervisor in 2020, this year. Hello, I'm retired Sheriff Tom Allman from Mendocino County. In the next 30 minutes, in less than 30 minutes, you're going to have an opportunity to meet the candidates from your district discussing 4 very important topics: homelessness, our county budget, our economic base, and yes, mental health, Measure B. Today, we're going to be providing an opportunity for everyone to hear from the candidates, their answers on these very important issues. These are the issues that everybody's talking about. We got all the candidates together and we asked them the exact same questions. Away from each other, they didn't hear each other's answers, they spoke from the heart, and they told me how they felt. This is a very important year. Mendocino County is going to elect a supervisor for 3 of our districts. The first district, Potter Valley and the surrounding area. The second district, the city of Ukiah. And the fourth district, the Fort Bragg area down to just north of Mendocino and all the way up to Humboldt County. Very soon, you're going to be seeing a lot of posters. You're going to be hearing a lot of radio commercials on these candidates. But I'd like for you to spend less than the next 30 minutes with me so we can hear together the answers to these questions. This is really important. This is a very big election. As your recently retired sheriff, I certainly know how important local elections are. They allow us to meet the candidates. They allow us to see the candidates in grocery stores and throughout our county. But more importantly, it allows us to talk directly to the candidates and to the victor, whoever wins the election, and say, how are you going to vote this, or why did you vote on that? You're going to get a good view today of where these candidates stand. I know all 9 candidates, and I can assure you, there are no 2 that are exactly alike. There's a lot of changes that are being forecast for our state, for our nation, but also here in Mendocino County. Changes in the law relating to homelessness, changes in the laws relating to jails, changes in the laws relating to mental health. These are all very important things that if you're not asking the questions yet, you need to be. So we're going to start asking the questions, and there's a couple things I want you to think about. I want you to think about the questions, but more importantly, I want you to hear the answers. I want you to ask yourself, is that what you would say, or do you disagree? Because this is a small election allows us to get together on this, allows us to talk, and allows us, you and me, to have our voices heard. Let's get started. Now, let's meet the candidates from the 2nd district.
Hi, I'm Maureen Mulhern, and you can call me Mo.
Hello, I'm Mari Roden.
Hello, my name is Joel Sonula.
So, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's begin with question 1. Question number 1 deals with homelessness. Have you been personally affected by a homelessness crisis? And what actions would you take to improve all citizens' quality of life? And do you have any fresh ideas or innovative plans as possible solutions?
I don't think that there is anybody in Mendocino County that has not been impacted by homelessness. I think that we all know a friend, a neighbor, or have a family member that has either been on the brink of homelessness, has been homeless, or maybe it's just somebody that we know. I think that one of the greatest concerns that I have is the stigmatizing of our community and the divisiveness. So what I've found is that 80% of the homeless individuals that are being served in our community are right here from Mendocino County. These are our friends and our neighbors, and we need to protect them as well as protect our community. I think that we need to look for innovative solutions. I think we need to have quick reactions when things are out of control and unsafe for our community. Nobody really wants to see tent camping, but perhaps in times of need, that is something that we should look at. My preference is to see dorm-style housing in perhaps vacant motel buildings or apartment buildings, and make sure that people have a roof over their head so they can regain stability. I've worked on a plan to help homeless individuals pick up trash in our community. I think that this gives them the integrity that they want to get back into our society and to help the community that has helped them when they were at their most needy.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, homelessness is a humanitarian issue. It's not okay to have people in our community that are unhoused, living in unsanitary conditions. And solving the problem of homelessness is going to be good for businesses, it's going to be good for residents, and it's going to be good for the environment. So I've personally been working on solving the homelessness problem, and in my capacity as a consultant with the County of Mendocino, working with the Continuum of Care for Homelessness. That's the countywide group of homeless service providers. And a subcommittee of that group is working on a strategic plan for homelessness. And one of the things that the group is looking at as a strategy is improved coordination of care amongst all the agencies. And outreach teams to the homeless, such as the street medicine program, are other strategies that the group is looking at. But just as important as addressing people who are the issues with people who are already homeless is we need to take an upstream approach, a prevention approach to homelessness. So I'm interested, for example, in doing programs like First Five does with 0 to 5. But after 5 years of age, we need to have programs in the schools that look at children and provide services to kids and young adults. Mendocino County has a higher than average proportion of homegrown people who are homeless. And so we need to really take care of our community members, our friends and our families before they're homeless.
I have been personally affected by the homeless population. I like to refer to them as the underserved population. I've been affected by watching society not be able to solve the problem and watching an underserved population of people not get the respect and dignity they deserve from the society that we live in. And the way that affects me and why I bring it up is because for me, everybody is a human being and deserves respect, whether they're on their second, third, fourth, fifth chance. And we in this county seem to have a one chance stance. When somebody screws up, they're done, and kind of nobody ever wants to try to pull them back up again because they think they're just a failure or a screw up in society. And so it deeply affects me because I'm a compassionate person that has somewhat of a heart for this population, and I see them being treated so poorly on a routine basis from all sides of society.
Question number 2 deals with the county budget. Public safety, roads, agriculture are all funded by the general fund. Can you list your budgeting priorities and budgetary changes, and in what areas would you increase or decrease funding, and why?
I think that the most important thing for the County of Mendocino's budget is their people. And I know that the Board of Supervisors have recently approved an increase in wages. There were some questions about whether or not there is funding available for these increases. I believe that the county should take each department and look at the vacant employees and see if there are savings and money that they can put into the budget to create some stability for our workforce. The county's employees are the frontline customer service, and that includes everybody from social workers to planning and building inspectors to our law enforcement. It is important that those folks have stability in their jobs and know that they are appreciated and valued, especially in our community and especially with our law enforcement officers. I think that taking each department, taking a very close look at what is currently occurring and what activities are necessary is crucial to determining how we move forward in the future with the budget. The City of Ukiah uses the OpenGov platform, which is a platform that the County of Mendocino also uses. I'm looking forward to being able to create a seamless transition, knowing how to use that system, knowing the budgeting and how to use the documents that are in the website and the portals so that we can move forward as a county together to make sure that our employees are valued.
Yeah. Mendocino County has a budget of about $350 million, and 80% of that budget goes toward providing programs that serve the people of Mendocino County. That's public health programs, it's child protective services, it's legal services for people. And those are areas where we don't have any discretion. We as policymakers don't have discretion in spending. So that leaves 20%, about $70 million, where the board has the opportunity to, apply its values to making a difference in the county. I would like to carry on the policies of the current board in terms of reducing our long-term debt and maintaining a healthy reserve. The other thing about the budget is that we can use it as an opportunity to invest in our community. So we can use it to, technology and vocational services, clean energy. So that's where we can use our values. We can make investments and get a return on our investment in the way that we budget the discretionary funds.
So budgeting is something that I am very comfortable with. I spent the last decade of my life working on large budgets with different organizations that I worked for. So looking at the current state of Mendocino County and how the budgeting is happening, it's really frustrating because there's a $300 million budget coming that's been approved and a little over $200 million for the last few years. And to see our county officials not be able to come up with a monthly budget reconciliation where you can compare actuals to what the budgets were with quickness, not a month from now I'll have it to you, a year from now we'll get you the year end, but actually have month live data where you can see how different departments are spending their monies. If I could do something different in the county, I would 100% work with the county directors and department managers to help them understand how budgets work and why it's important to understand staffing and the different areas of budgets. When I worked for a previous job and I was doing financial analysis for them, I felt that I connected with the managers and the directors and really helped them understand how to understand their budgets, which when you understand the tool that you're supposed to be using, it becomes something that you then are allowed to look into and figure out where your problems are. But if you don't understand how to use the tools, which is figuring out how to compare your actuals to your budgets, which is a very simple thing, it can get messy. You start not knowing what you're spending and misappropriated funds start happening. And then money just starts going into buckets that you are unaware of. So for me, the biggest thing I can change at the county level is having accountability in the financials and actually having somebody in there who can actually help the different financial departments understand how to achieve these goals.
Question number 3 deals with our economy here. What steps would you take to improve and stimulate our overall economic condition? How would you attract businesses to move here and invest in our communities? And what idea do you have around this issue that you would implement first if you were elected?
I think one of the most important things for not only our leadership, but for our residents of Mendocino County to know is that we are surrounded by incredible entrepreneurs. We have companies in this county that are world renowned. And I think that supporting those businesses and those industries is the way that we move forward as a county. We might not attract large firms, but we do have companies here that we can grow. We can help provide an excellent workforce for, and we can create stability through new housing opportunities. One of the major complaints of local employers is that there's not enough housing for their employees. And as a community member, I know that when we have employees that have to work for 45 minutes away from where they live, that creates some challenges with creating a connection to their community. So not only do we need to look at industry, the economy that we currently have with agriculture, manufacturing, and government employees, we need to look at how we keep them connected to the community, how we keep them from not moving on to higher paying jobs when they feel a connection to the people and the area that they serve.
Mendocino County's economy is struggling, but there is a lot of potential in Mendocino County for economic development. Within 2.5 hours of Mendocino County, we have access to a market of 8 million people. And so part of the issue is getting our goods, our products out into those markets. Collaborative branding, such as Made in Mendocino, Made in North Bay, that's one avenue for making the connection between Mendocino County's products and the outside community, or the regional economy. Visit Mendocino is another example of how we can market Mendocino County's unique qualities and unique attributes to the outside world. Another thing we can do is reduce the barriers to entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs who are trying to make a go of it. We can reduce the regulatory barriers that impede their progress. Baker's bills is an example of that. People who are, for example, using their kitchens and trying to produce goods, we can make it easier for them to produce and become viable entities. The other thing is that fixing the most pressing problems in our community, such as housing, developing a clean energy infrastructure, broadband, these are all incredible opportunities for economic development.
So this topic is very dear to my heart. I gave a speech to the Board of Supervisors. It was about, I want to say 8 years ago, and it was about the economic multiplier effect of our community and how dollars are not staying in our community, how they're being removed to outside organizations such as franchises and corporations that are coming in and don't necessarily give back to the community as much as normal businesses in a community would. And I was young when I learned this topic about the economic multiplier effect, and I get a lot of weird looks when I bring it up, but it is a real crucial piece of our county that used to be around 7, where $1 basically would change hands through our community 7 times before it left our community. And in a recent study that I looked at, it was about 2012, it was down to about 1.9. So that meant $1 spent in our community left by the second time it was touching a hand of somebody in this community. And that to me just shows absolute loss of economic viability moving forward. So how to change that? You have to get products being made here in our county that people want. You have to make people want to go buy local things. And when we say attract franchises or other corporations to come to town, my mind doesn't ever go there. It goes to, why are we not attracting local people to start businesses? Where are the grassroots businesses that used to be in this community? They're shutting left and right. They're shutting their doors left and right. And it's sad to watch the small town America be affected the way it is. So for me, the way I would change it is to try and bring back the buy local movement. And that's not just to say, go down to your local shop and buy something, but it's producing things here. It's actually making things in this community and actually attracting outside dollars to this community, because it's really the only way we can grow at this point. We have our county budget. It's going to go up a little, down a little in given years. But when it comes to it, we have to figure out how to get people to want to spend money here and actually stay here and not travel and go outside this county when they want to have fun.
Question number 4 is really important to me. It deals with mental health and Measure B. Measure B and mental health are some of the top concerns of our citizens. Several possible solutions have been publicly discussed. What solutions do you feel could be implemented to ensure a better delivery of services and improvement of the quality of life for victims of mental illness?
I think that as a county resident and as someone that voted for Measure B, I think we all expected for things to happen much more quickly. As families struggle with relatives with mental health issues, there are a lot of challenges that impact the community. I think that keeping individuals that are suffering from mental health issues close to their support network, whether that be Wallala, Manchester, Laytonville, Covelo, or Ukiah, it's important that people that are struggling with mental illness have their support system. I think that having more outreach is imperative, especially when we're talking about homeless individuals that have also dual diagnosis with drug addiction and mental illness. The first call should not be to law enforcement. The first call should be to a social worker that can help that individual get into supportive services so that they can get off of the streets. I think that with the housing crisis, we also need to really look at how we can help families get ADUs so that they can keep their loved ones near them. So they have support system, somebody to help check on them, make sure they're taking their medication, make sure they're getting all of their needs met.
Mental health care is a fundamental human right, just like all health care. It's not okay for people who have a mental illness to be unjustly jailed, to be cycling through the criminal justice system, to be going to the emergency room when there's a crisis. The voters of Mendocino County overwhelmingly supported Measure B, and so we have resources to address this problem. I believe we need crisis intervention services. Ongoing psychiatric care needs to be available, follow-up for people. We need to use our resources also to create a facility to provide, crisis intervention for people. Enhance training and support for crisis intervention teams and programs to reach people in outlying areas, to provide psychiatric care to people who don't live close to Ukiah, Willits, or Fort Bragg. Those are also important programs that we need to use Measure B funds to provide.
So this is quite the red hot topic right now. I've had a lot of conversations with people about what's happening with the Measure B monies. How is the PUF unit going to be implemented? How are we going to staff it? And where are the monies actually going to come from by the time we get done with this project, building the facility? And so for me, the Measure B complication comes in. I was promised that something was going to happen, and now it sounds like it's going in a different direction where crisis intervention and other organizations through requests for proposals are going to have access to this funding, as opposed to keeping it in our county's control and actually building the PUF unit and giving the services to the people. And the main thing that we need to achieve through this Measure B is that our people get transported to Reading, I believe, at the moment, and I think that might have just closed down. Now possibly going further. We can't send our community members, which people always forget that 60% of the people with mental health issues or people that are homeless in our streets are either born and raised in this community or have been here long term. They are our residents. They're people we need to take care of. To send them hundreds of miles away to people they don't know, into care and control of people we don't know how good of that control is or care for that person, in my opinion, is a tragedy in our community. These people need to be sent to facilities when they have a mental health crisis, where they know people, where they've seen the people they're working with, where they can immediately have their case manager there within a 48-hour period, not 72 hours later, get shipped back in a van, dumped in the streets, or possibly back to their home and have to figure out how to survive from there. It's important that we keep our people local. It's time to stop sending them away to where we don't know what kind of care they're getting, and really bring that PUF unit into this community and figure out how to do it without contracting out the money to already misappropriated funds that are happening throughout the industry.
After the questions, I gave each candidate 3 minutes to discuss whatever they wanted to talk about. I think you'll find it as interesting as I did.
When I was first elected to the City Council in 2014, I had big ambitions, and I am so thrilled to see that some of those things have gotten checked off my list. We're repairing streets. We have a recycle water project. We have 143 new units of housing in Ukiah. Ukiah is one of 12 cities in the state of California that has met their RHNA goals. We're working on big projects like revision of the airport land use, general plan updates, housing element updates. I'm the past president for the Revenue Empire Division for the League of California Cities. I've just been appointed to the Revenue and Taxation Committee for the state of California. I am ready to take my hard work, dedication, and determination to the Board of Supervisors level. I'm accessible, easy to reach, and always at events, volunteer opportunities, and community events and locations so that I can be accessible to everyone in our community. I also use social media as a way to answer questions and have feedback from the community. I think that it's important to remember that those individuals that are having a very busy life, working, getting kids to soccer, and are just overwhelmed generally are not likely to come to meetings. So it's important to me that I go to them and get their feedback when we're discussing important topics. I would encourage you to look at my website. It's moformendo.com. You'll find lots of news and, importantly, update of events where you can come and speak to me and learn about why I'm running for Mendocino County 2nd District Supervisor.
I love Mendocino County. Mendocino County has been my home for 27 years. I've raised my children here. I love it here. I'm committed to this place. I served 11 years on the Ukiah City Council and mayor 2 times. I've also been a grant writer, and as a grant writer, I've raised funds for nonprofits and many county agencies in Mendocino, all over Mendocino County. So I have a bird's eye view of programs and people from Point Arena up to Laytonville. So my experience with grant writing gives me a familiarity, I think, that's unique. I'm especially interested in land use issues. I want the vision that was expressed in the Ukiah Valley Area Plan to maintain Ukiah Valley's community character to be fulfilled. Preserve ag land and open space, while at the same time promoting, growth and housing, which we need within the city limits. Industrial expansion needs to happen, and that can happen in places like where we're sitting now in the Masonite Industrial Center. I also feel that the Potter Valley Project is one of the most important and critical issues facing the county, and the Board of Supervisors needs to play a very strong role in ensuring the continuation of the Potter Valley Project. I think I'm qualified to bring people together. I know many people throughout the county. I have good working relationships with people, and I look forward to being a member of the Board of Supervisors and serving my community.
So for me, running for Mendocino County Board of Supervisors started a long time ago. I'm born and raised in this community, and I've been complaining since I believe I knew how to complain about different things growing up, how poorly sports were orchestrated, how poorly youth activities were presented to anybody who was interested in getting out and being involved in the community. It was difficult as a young person in this community just to find places to volunteer because there wasn't a lot of them. It was Big Brother, Big Sister. There was a few other organizations that you were able to go to and get your community service hours, but it wasn't like people wanted you there. It was a situation where they knew you needed hours and they would kind of say, here's a job, go do this and have fun on this task. But there was no meaning behind the actual volunteering that was taking place. Maybe that was me being young and now growing up and recognizing that I didn't follow my passions back then. And that's one of the reasons why now I feel like I'm correcting that. I know what I'm passionate about. I know what I want to do. And for me, running for supervisor is me stopping complaining and starting to put my words into actions and show people that there is a better path in this community that we could have. We don't have to settle for subpar government. We don't have to settle for subpar funding for youth organizations. We don't have to watch the bowling alleys and the different organizations leave this community. If we stood up and we fought for the things that people in this community need, and we actually focused on growth in a smart way that put attention to people that are here and people that are currently moving, we would be way ahead of the game where we are right now. Most people I talk to are absolutely, I don't want to say disgusted, but it is. They come here as a community member with this idea of the back to the landers, the small town, the local economies, farmers markets, and they get here and they realize that that's been dying for decades, and our economic viability has just been crumbling, and we no longer have a progressive platform anywhere in this community. It seems that local government has come up with a way to make money disappear without having any sort of results. And for me, that really kind of makes me upset, seeing that we had these same problems 20 years ago when I was a kid in this community, and we're still dealing with the same problems to this day. And financial transparency has to happen. I don't know how to make it happen across the entire county with every department, but it has to happen at the highest levels, and it has to be put out to the people so they can understand where monies are going, how they're being spent, how we're getting them, where taxpayer dollars are going, and that they can feel good about the changes that are happening in this community, as opposed to thinking every time they hear about a new measure or ballot measure that monies are just going to be wasted and we're not going to get anything out of it.
So, there you have it. 4 very important questions being asked to all the candidates. Now it's your turn. Please, make sure that you're registered to vote, and make sure you vote. It's really important. I'd really like to thank the candidates again for taking the time to answer these questions. And I'd really like to thank you. Your time is valuable. I appreciate you being an informed voter. Once again, I'm Tom Allman, and thanks.